Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. We got so many things to cover. Let's just jump right into it. So the title and the thumbnail pretty much is just talking about why I really get Saylor. And I understood where he was going with it. It made a total amount of sense, but there was just this 30-second clip where it just really brought it all home. And I'll get to that in a second. But MicroStrategy has done a fantastic job of having this infinite money glitch. Essentially, not just about their data aspect of their company, but actually getting into Bitcoin, holding on to their balance sheets, and then pretty much just running with it that way. And they're doing a great job. And they're doing such a great job that MicroStrategy, as of yesterday, was the third most traded stock. That was more than Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon combined. And it gets to be a little volatile, but the stock itself has done great. I actually invested into it, I don't know, like a month and a half ago, because, you just have to you just have to kind of follow that wave. And sometimes you just get on this point where you're like, okay, everything I'm going to do is going to work out, because it's a bullish sentiment. And it's pretty much like that right now. Now on this channel, I like to keep it balanced, and anything can happen. We all know that. But sometimes you just got to sit back and go, you know what? I've been doing this for 3 years, buying during this massive bear nonsense. This is when I get to sit back and take a breather and just go, you know what? Just ride that wave. So about Saylor, he would always talk about, don't sell your Bitcoin, don't sell your Bitcoin. Okay, I get it, right? I get it. And one of the big reasons I got it was because, the company itself was pretty much flat until their first purchase of Bitcoin, which was on around August 7th, 2020, give or take a couple, a week or so, depending on when everything was revealed. But you can just see that, besides the .com big push, MicroStrategy didn't do squat for quite some time. And that must be frustrating as a business owner, especially to your shareholders, when you're saying, yeah, we're going to do this great stuff, we're going to do it, it's all awesome, and you're pretty much flat and just chopping sideways. Imagine if I told you that, hey, just stick around for Bitcoin, it's going to be great. And I told it to you in 2002. And then in 2020, I was like, see, told you, it only took 18 years. That would be very depressing. Let's be honest. We are all in it for the volatility and for these massive gains. And when Michael Saylor talks about, like, look, I'm never going to sell it. I'm just going to put up my shares, take a loan, and just write it out that way. And, just check him out on Saylor Tracker. And he's been doing the exact same thing. So it really all came down to this piece, this small 39-second clip. And it shows a lot of vulnerability to actually say these things, to show people that, look, it's not all easy. It's not all simple. You just think just because I'm pretty smart that it actually works out. It doesn't. It's tough as hell. So I want you to listen to this, and then you can really understand like where he's coming from, and then why he says he's never going to sell, and why he's doing these PSA or public service announcements to all these big corporations, which we're going to get to in a bit, and why he's been such a proponent for Bitcoin moving forward. And it comes down to this 39 seconds. Just take a listen to this. Let me make sure you can hear this correctly. And just so you know, the echo you're going to hear in this video is not from my audio. It's from whoever recorded it on their end. It's a great piece, but there's a little bit of a redub. So
when I found Bitcoin, I was in despair. I had worked for a decade. I had spent 20,000 man years attempting to do everything under the sun. I could not get ahead. Right. And I was the same me. I wasn't stupid, right? You look at me and say, well, this is Michael Saylor, worked as hard as he could for a decade and could not get ahead, right? And the most pernicious thing you can do to someone is you make them think that they're just not smart enough. And the reason they're failing is because they're not smart and they don't work hard enough. Mm-hmm. And then you realize, no, the system is rigged against you.
You can't say any easier. So I don't know how many people just listened to that and it resonated with them what he said. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about how hard you work, because we're pretty smart people. I mean, relatively speaking, right? We work pretty hard. We get up, we do our job. But sometimes it's just the odds are stacked against you. And this is, I think, a reason why so many people latch on to the narrative that's being produced here, which is a pretty good narrative. And it's also a narrative of the altcoins. And it's also a narrative, I hate to say it, is also on meme coins. So not to go too far down that ladder, now I understand where Michael Saylor is coming from and why he says the things he says and why he does the thing he does. So let me just think about that in the comments section. And then, it's not just that was pretty good. So remember when we said that MicroStrategy was the third largest stock traded yesterday? Well, today, or I guess within the last 24 hours, MicroStrategy is currently the most traded stock in the USA today, higher than Tesla and NVIDIA. Not too bad. And that would put them in the top 100. As far as publicly traded companies, they're right above Dell, Southern Company, and Intel. Well, actually, Intel's just above them at 104 billion. So I think they can tack on 8 billion anytime soon. So see that actually works out. And then it's not just that, like I said, I understand now why he's, making this big push. Obviously it's for funds. Obviously it's for, for that appreciation. But just that whole piece where he says, hey, I worked my ass off for 10 years. I couldn't get anywhere. Now, because of Bitcoin, we're doing pretty good. So why wouldn't I share this with everybody? So Rumble, if you don't know Rumble, it is a social media platform. It is specific to mostly conservative views, we'll say. I listened to it, got a lot of good people over there. Actually, I was thinking of actually just going over there and just skipping out on YouTube, but unfortunately YouTube has like the lion's share. But Rumble shares rise 9% as founder moles scooping up Bitcoin. And again, this is the same thing that Saylor did with Elon Musk. He pretty much just talked to him on Twitter or X. It was Twitter back then. And Elon Musk was saying, hey, can we put this on our balance sheet? And he's like, from one rocket scientist to another, yes, you can do that, and we'll talk about it. And that's how he roped in Elon Musk, and this is how he's going to rope in the CEO of Rumble, Chris Pavlovski. And Chris came out and said, let's put this in a poll. Should Rumble add Bitcoin to its balance sheet? And this is what you should do. Just put polls out on a social media platform, and he gets 29,000 votes. I'm sure not all of these are stock owners, but maybe they will become stock owners if they put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And this is the part that drives me crazy. When companies take a look at what's going on with MicroStrategy, again, looking pretty good, right? Not too bad. All you did was put that on the balance sheet and talk positively about it. Like when I see this, I'm just like, why are they not doing the exact same thing to pump up the price of their stock? I don't care if you believe in it or not. Just put it on your balance sheet. I don't know. Chris is going to talk to Michael Saylor, and they said, yeah, I'd be happy to discuss it with you. DM you right now. So it's pretty much done deal. They're going to put it on their balance sheet. That's it. So, then of course this happens. And then the article itself said, Rumble shares rise 9%. I was like, is it that much? So I took a look at the Rumble share price. And I guess over the last 24, 36 hours or so, yeah, it's gone up. But look at this big jump. But why was this big jump just happened? I will give you a clue. There was a thing called the US presidential election. And after Trump won, everything skyrocketed. So of course, Rumble, conservative leaning type of social media platform, would get a big boost, right? And then of course over here, just the mere mention of Bitcoin gives it a little bit of boost. And I'll take it. It's looking good. Not only that, then again, I've been talking about this on X, and of course everybody talks about this, but it looks like Microsoft has a petition across the shareholders to potentially buy Bitcoin and put it on their balance sheet. Now, the board has stated that they do not want to do this. However, the rest of the shareholders or somebody up top said, that's fine, you can do that, but we're still going to have Michael Saylor come in and talk to us and explain to all of us why we should do this. So again, this is actually going to happen. He's going to do like a 3-minute presentation. He was on PBD, Paul Bet David Network, and he talked about this at length. And he said, look, he goes, I actually put it out there and said, I will fly to you guys and just have a sit down with you wherever you are in the world, and I'll do this for you. But they're like, nah, for whatever intents and purposes, we'll do a 3-minute thing. And, you can put that information to the board and to our shareholders. So I'm like, great, this could be a done deal. Imagine, well, I don't know if I can really imagine this, because it's like there's so much good news, right? But if you got Microsoft and they're buying it up, I mean, how far away then is Apple behind that? How far away is Amazon away from that, from putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet? And then, of course, that's all the nation states that actually have it as well. And that would lead me to this point, which is I now understand why people despise the crypto and digital asset that are out there, specifically Bitcoin. And this is from some post. This was actually retweeted by Michael Saylor himself. And it was somebody that says, enough of this nonsense. When is MicroStrategy going to effing crash? And then it just talks, this is 10, 27%. These are gains in one day they're probably quoting. He says, how the F can a stock continue to go up like this every single day? I keep buying shorts and getting wrecked and selling at a loss every couple of days. This is just some regarded company that I think they mean retarded, but whatever, that buys Bitcoin. Why not just buy Bitcoin instead of MicroStrategy? What does it mean this? The market is a ridiculous clown show. Now, even if this is just a joke and somebody was actually just did this and posted this and they love Bitcoin, you know for a fact there are people out there that are shorting Bitcoin. I'll show you the shorts and longs, and they're getting absolutely destroyed. And this is why people hate it, because they've done no actual research into it. They don't understand why this could be such a big deal. And hold on, I don't want that. I actually said this. I go, the reason why this is actually happening is because the financial experts that are out there, you know, the Peter Zahans of the world, the Dan Peñas of the world, the Peter Schiffs, all those guys, they're the experts, and people still listen to them. And because of that, they have been ingrained in their head that this is nonsense, and you should never get into it. And then people go, I'll short it because these people are morons, and I'm going to make a bunch of money. And they try this and they get wrecked. And like, So I welcome these people when they come in, but make no mistake about it. Because you were shorting and doing everything else to do your research, you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. And that's just what it's going to be. And then lastly, before we get off and talk a little bit about appointments and Gary Gensler and all these things, there are some smart companies out there, right? And this is from PR Newswire. Hoth Therapeutics board of directors approved Bitcoin as a treasury asset. Hoth Therapeutics is a biopharmaceutical company. Never heard of it in my life. But they announced that the company's board of directors approved the purchase of up to 1 million in Bitcoin. That's pretty safe. Now just extrapolate that out across 1,000 different companies, and then the word gets out. I'm just saying this is what you should actually do. And if you have a long enough time horizon, as long as you don't think to yourself, oh, it's going to go up 300% like it did, from the beginning of the year. As long as you got a long enough time horizon and someone's explaining to you right, you're going to do just great. And then also, we've talked pretty heavily about Bitcoin. I just want to remind you that altcoin season is coming. Things are looking good. This is from friend of the show, Guy over at Coin Bureau. He says retail is coming in. Phantom Wallet is now the #2 app on the iTunes store in the US, taking over Google Chrome. If you never use Phantom Wallet, it's a Solana-based wallet, but you can use other things inside it, and it's great. It's easy. It's fantastic. I'll try to put a link in the description. I don't have it right now, but I think a lot of people should just use that, and then they can see just how simple digital assets are to actually move things across and as a medium of exchange and do all the types of things you want to do. And it's just great. Like I've used MetaMask. I don't really like the user interface, but with Phantom, it is quite easy, super simple. And then also so now we talk about altcoins. Let's jump back to Bitcoin. This was a good one. And it's like I said, it's not just corporations. It's not just institutions. It's also nation states, countries. Bhutan has generated 1 billion in Bitcoin using stranded hydropower resources. 34% of its total GDP. Let me say that again. 34% of its total GDP is because they believed in Bitcoin and say, you know what, we're going to start mining that. And they made $1 billion. The population of Bhutan is less than 1 million people. It's from 2023. 787,000 people, 423 roughly, 424. And they understood it. It just makes me insane. Like, I'm like, why? Like, this has been like a 15-year time frame. I just don't get why people just don't believe in it. I think it's the people that are out there. And I gave you a nice extensive list. Bill Gates, Paul Krugman, Elizabeth Warren, Narul Rubini, Dr. Doom, Schiff, Lagarde, Burry, Skeptical Cons of the Brooks Institute. Oh yeah, and Dave Ramsey. That was my favorite one. Dave Ramsey, who says that Bitcoin's a joke, and of course people still listen to that. Hey, Dave Ramsey's great for getting you out of debt, but as far as like making a bunch of money, debatable. And then lastly, before we get into a little Q&A, presidential picks. This was a good one. Trump to pick Howard Lutnick as Commerce Secretary. Who the hell is Howard Lutnick? He's a billionaire and holds hundreds of millions in Bitcoin. He's been nominated as the Commerce Secretary. What the hell does a Commerce Secretary do? It's a great question. U.S. Secretary of Commerce, the mission of the department is to create conditions for economic growth and opportunity. I got to tell you, I would like somebody in there who's made $1 billion and has understood the whole process of economic growth. I don't want to hear about sex from a virgin. They drive U.S. innovation and global competitiveness, foster inclusive capitalism and equitable economic growth. That sounds pretty good. This guy sounds like he might be able to do it. Address the climate crisis through mitigation, adaptation, and resilience efforts. All right. Expand opportunities and discovery through data. Provide 21st century service with 21st century capabilities. I like it. So now I'm going to give you a little taste of Lutnick. He was actually on the Pompliano podcast. And I linked this. It's a 2-hour discussion. It's pretty good. I listened to it on 2x speed. I recommend you do the same. But listen to this first 30 seconds, and you're going to understand why this is such a big deal for Bitcoin digital assets moving forward. Let me throw this up again. Take a listen to this, 30 seconds.
We're going to continue to lose value in the dollar. This Bitcoin thing is the opposite. It continues to appreciate its purchasing power over time. Why are you so excited about this?
Okay, so I think about it differently, but we get to the same outcome.
Okay.
People use Bitcoin and they say it's like a currency. It's not. If everyone started talking about Bitcoin being a commodity, they would actually be talking about the freedom of Bitcoin, and they'd be talking to people, and everybody who's in power would now understand.
Yeah, so check that out. I mean, that guy that we just saw is going to be the Secretary of Commerce. Yeah. Like I said, some days like you want to look for the balance, the bad stuff, but sometimes there's just so much good news. You just got to like I said, ride the wave. And lastly, I don't really want to do this one. I'd like to get more bullish. Jesus, criminy Christmas. Gensler's going to step down. We all know that. He's not going to get fired. He can't get fired. Whatever. But it looks like Donald Trump plans to fire Gary Gensler. Okay. And appoint pro-crypto Teresa Goody Guillen as SEC chair. Who the heck is this? Well, Teresa Goody Guillen, blockchain advocate with deep regulatory roots, is reportedly Donald Trump's top pick to lead the SEC. Guillen is a partner at Baker Hostetler and the co-leader of its blockchain practice. So she knows what's going on with blockchain. That's good. But how does she know the flip side? Well, she used to work at the SEC during the Obama administration, later took her skills to private practice where she helped companies fend off the same agency she once served. And now she might be the head of the SEC. And if you don't think the floodgates are open now, we haven't seen anything yet. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, a little too bullish for me, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. I'm going to talk about is time sensitive. Now, if you want to do a little Q&A, answer all your questions, best of my ability, we'll go from there. All right, buddy, what do you got for me for the Q&A? Oh, and also, before we get in the Q&A, I really wanted to, there was a great interview with Brad Garlinghouse. And Bartiromo. She's over on Fox News, and they talked about their stablecoin plans, how everything works together with the Trump administration, the response about Brian Brooks and Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase, and him actually being tapped to talk secretly with Donald Trump for a cabinet position on Monday. It was like a 7-minute one, but it was just too long, and I'll talk about it later, maybe in a couple of days or so. So it was a good one. And congratulations to all the XRP holders. I think you guys are up to like 200% in the last week. Not bad.